3 housekeepers in 3 days. All fired. All crying at the gate of the most luxurious mansion in Manhattan. Harrison Blackwell didn't have patience for incompetence. Or for humanity. He fired people like changing channels on TV. Cold. Effortless. Final. But today, someone different was about to walk through that door. Someone who would change everything, even though neither of them could imagine it yet. The doorbell rang at exactly 7 a.m. Mrs. Gloria, the gray-haired head housekeeper, opened the door with a tired sigh. There she was. Young black woman, mid-20s, anxious eyes, holding a worn-out purse like it contained her entire world. "You're the new one?" Mrs. Gloria asked, no emotion in her voice. "Yes, ma'am. Naomi Carter. I'm here for the housekeeping position." The housekeeper looked her up and down. "Another lamb to the slaughter. Come in. But a word of advice, don't take anything to heart. He's ruthless. And if you last until lunch, you'll break a record." Naomi swallowed hard. She needed this job desperately. Her mother was sick. Bills piling up. Rent overdue. There was no choice. She stepped inside. The mansion was massive. Marble floors. Crystal chandeliers. Paintings on every wall. But there was something strange in the air. A heavy silence. Like the house itself was holding its breath. "He's in the sitting room. Go introduce yourself now." Mrs. Gloria pointed down a corridor. Naomi took a deep breath. Her hands were sweating. She walked down the hallway until she reached an enormous room with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Central Park. And there, with his back to her, sat a man in an electric wheelchair. Dark hair, perfectly cut. Broad shoulders. Expensive clothes. He stared out the window without turning. "Mr. Blackwell, good morning. You're late." His voice was ice. Naomi glanced at her watch. 7:05. "Sir, I arrived at 7 as agreed." 7 means 7. Not 7:05. You're already starting badly. He finally turned the chair around. 40 years old. Handsome face, but marked by deep bitterness. Dark eyes that seemed to look right through you. "What's your name?" "Naomi Carter." "Naomi," he repeated with disdain. "Unusual name. Whatever. Your duties are simple. Clean the house, organize the rooms, serve meals, and most importantly, don't annoy me. Can you do that?" "Yes, sir." "I doubt it." He picked up a list from the side table. "Start with the library. I want all the books reorganized alphabetically by author. And dust each one. Every single one. There are 462 books. You have until 1 p.m. Naomi felt her stomach tighten. It was impossible. "Sir, can I start today and finish?" 1 p.m. Or you can leave right now." He turned his back again. She clenched her fists. She needed this job. "I'll start now, sir." Harrison smiled slightly. Another one who would break. Another one who would cry. He enjoyed this. Ever since the accident 2 years ago. Ever since he woke up unable to walk. Ever since his fiancée left him, saying she hadn't signed up to take care of a man in a wheelchair. He discovered that making others suffer was the only thing that still made him feel something. The hours dragged on like torture. Naomi worked frantically in the library. Up and down the ladder. Book by book. Cleaning, organizing. Her hands burned. Her legs ached. But she didn't stop. Couldn't stop. 12:40. Harrison entered the library. She was still there. Sweating. Exhausted. But working. 20 minutes left, he announced. "I know, sir." Naomi didn't even look up. She kept going. He stood there watching. Waiting for her to break. But she didn't. 1 p.m. She climbed down the ladder, out of breath. "I'm done, sir." Harrison looked around. Every book organized. Spotless. Not a grain of dust. The dining room needs cleaning. All the crystal washed by hand. "Start now." He left without looking back. Naomi leaned against the bookshelf. Her legs were shaking. But she wasn't going to quit. The day continued like this. Impossible task after impossible task. He invented absurd orders. Wanted everything redone. Criticized every detail. From the corner of the room, a woman in her mid-30s watched everything with a satisfied smile. Christina, longtime staff member. She had been close to Camila, Harrison's ex-fiancée, and hated seeing any new housekeeper trying to stand out. Another one who's going to fall, Christina muttered to Robert, the driver. 7 p.m. Harrison was in his office when Mrs. Gloria entered. She's still here. What? The girl. Naomi. She's still working. Finished everything you ordered. Now she's cleaning the kitchen. Didn't even ask for it. Harrison clenched his jaw. Send her home. That's enough for today. Mrs. Gloria hesitated. Sir, why do you do this? Why treat them like this? Because I can, he said simply. And because no one is worth it. They all quit. Just like Camila quit on me. The housekeeper sighed and left. Minutes later, Naomi walked past the office on her way out. He watched her through the half-open door. She was limping from exhaustion, but there was something in her posture. Dignity. She didn't seem broken. And that bothered him deeply. At the exit, Mrs. Gloria caught up with Naomi. Girl, are you crazy or brave? Just need the job, Mrs. Gloria. No one lasts more than 3 days here. He's relentless. Ever since the accident. Then I'll try to last 4. Naomi smiled weakly and left into the night. Harrison stayed in the office alone, staring out the window of his golden prison. That girl was different. And he hated different things. Because different things reminded him of when he was different too. When he was happy. And he didn't want to remember. Tomorrow would be worse for her. Much worse. He would make sure of it. Naomi woke up at 5 a.m. Her entire body ached. Feet swollen. Hands blistered from scrubbing and cleaning. She stared at the cracked ceiling of the tiny apartment she shared with her mother. She could quit. Could look for another job. But there was no other job. Not with that salary. Not that fast. She got up, took a cold shower, put on the simple uniform, looked at her sleeping mother. Mrs. Diane was pale. The cough had gotten worse. She needed medicine. Expensive medicine. I'll make it, Mom. I promise, Naomi whispered and left. 6:50 a.m. She rang the mansion doorbell. Mrs. Gloria opened with a surprised face. You came back. I did, Mrs. Gloria. God help you, girl. The housekeeper shook her head. Harrison was already awake. He never slept well. Phantom pains in his legs. Memories of the accident. The wheelchair that reminded him every second that he was no longer the man he used to be. He drank his bitter coffee, watching the garden through the window. And then he saw Naomi arriving. On time again. Something in him got irritated. She should have quit. Send her to me, he said to Mrs. Gloria through the intercom. Naomi entered the dining room. Harrison sat at the head of an enormous table. Alone. Good morning, Mr. Blackwell. He didn't even look. Today you'll clean all the windows in the house. Inside and out. There are 63 windows. I want them to shine like diamonds. And then you'll wash all the bed linens. By hand. The machine is broken. The machine is broken, sir? It is. Any problem? He finally looked at her, those cold eyes challenging her. Naomi knew he was lying. But she wasn't going to argue. No problem, sir. I'll start now. And Naomi, he called as she was leaving. Yes, sir. If I see a mark, a scratch, a drop of water badly dried, you're fired. Understood. Understood, sir. The hours passed like torture. Naomi went up and down stairs with bucket and rags. Cleaned each window carefully. The sun beat down hard. She sweated but continued. Mid-morning, while cleaning the living room windows, Harrison passed by and stopped. Too slow. At this rate, you won't finish today. I'm doing my best, sir. Your best is pathetic. He approached, inspected the glass she had just cleaned, ran his finger across it. See? Mark. Do it again. Naomi looked. There was no mark at all. But she said nothing. Just picked up the cloth and cleaned again. Harrison stood there watching. Waiting for her to explode. Waiting for her to scream. But she didn't do anything. Just cleaned. And that irritated him even more. You have no pride, no self-respect. How do you stand being treated like this? He said suddenly. Naomi stopped. Looked at him. I have pride, sir. Pride in working. Pride in supporting my family. You can humiliate me all you want, but you can't take that away from me. Harrison fell silent. Those words hit him in a way he didn't expect. He turned the chair and left without saying anything. In the kitchen, the other employees whispered. She's too strong. Nobody takes him like this, said Robert, the driver. Poor thing. She doesn't know he only gets worse. The second day is when he really shows who he is. Mrs. Gloria shook her head. In the afternoon, Naomi was at the sink washing the bedsheets. Her hands burned in the cold water. Harrison appeared suddenly. How much do you make at home? Why do you need this job so desperately? He asked. Naomi kept washing. I need to help my mother with bills, sir. She's sick. Sick with what? Lung problem. Needs treatment. Harrison was silent for a moment. And I'm the bank, right? The billionaire who has to save everyone. Naomi stopped washing. Looked at him. I didn't ask you for anything, sir. Just asked for work. And I work. You pay, I do it. It's fair. Fair. He moved closer. Nothing is fair. Life isn't fair. If it were fair, I wouldn't be in this chair. If it were fair, I'd still have my life. My fiancé. My future. Christina passed through the corridor and stopped to listen. She always did this. Liked watching Harrison humiliate the new housekeepers. Reminded her of the old days when Camila was there and everything was better. Naomi saw something different in him for a second. Pain. Real pain. But she didn't say anything. Finish this and then clean the ballroom. It's been closed for 2 years. Must be full of dust. He left. The ballroom was enormous. Hardwood floors. Walls with mirrors. A grand piano in the corner. Everything covered in dust and white sheets. Naomi started removing the sheets. And then she saw the photos on the wall. Harrison. Younger. Smiling. Standing. Next to a stunning blonde woman. Photos of parties, trips, happiness. A completely different life. Curiosity is a sin. Harrison's voice came from the door. Naomi turned, startled. Sorry, sir. I was just looking. At my past life. The man I was before the accident. He entered the ballroom. I used to throw parties here. Dozens of people. Music. Dancing. Laughter. Now it's just a tomb. You could throw parties again, sir. He looked at her with bitterness. Throw parties so everyone can pity me? Look at me with that face? No, thank you. People wouldn't. You don't know anything, he exploded. You don't know what it's like. What it's like to wake up and not feel your legs. What it's like to be abandoned by the person you loved because you're not useful anymore. What it's like to see everything you were turned to ashes. Naomi stayed silent. Let him vent. Camila. My fiancé. She said she didn't marry me to be a nurse. That the deal was different. That she deserved someone who could still walk beside her. 3 months after the accident, she left. Took the jewelry I gave her and left me here. In this chair. In this prison. He ran his hand over his face. So yes, I treat you badly because I can. Because it's the only thing that still makes me feel like I have some control. Satisfied. Naomi took a deep breath. No, sir. I'm not satisfied. Because you're letting her win. Harrison looked at her, stunned. What? That Camila. She broke you. And you're letting her. You're living like a prisoner, but the prison isn't the chair. It's you. You built it yourself. You're punishing yourself and punishing everyone around you. How dare you? I know what pain is, sir, Naomi interrupted. I know what loss is. My father died when I was 15. Suddenly. Heart attack. My mother fell into depression. I had to drop out of school. Drop everything. Work. And you know what I learned? That we can choose. Stay in the pain or move forward. You have money. You have a house. You have everything. But you chose to stay trapped in pain. I have nothing. But I chose to keep going. Christina, listening from the corridor, rolled her eyes. Harrison was paralyzed. No one had ever spoken to him like that. Get out, he said quietly. Sir. Get out, he shouted. Naomi left the ballroom, heart pounding. Harrison stayed alone. Looking at the photos. Looking at the piano. Looking at his dead life. And for the first time in 2 years, he asked himself, was she right? Naomi didn't sleep that night. She stared at the ceiling thinking about the words she'd said, thinking about Harrison's face. He was going to fire her. She was certain. But even so, she got up at 5 a.m., got dressed and went. Because quitting wasn't in her options. 6:50. The doorbell. Mrs. Gloria opened the door and her eyes widened. Girl, you have a death wish. After yesterday? He told you. He told me. I know. The whole house heard the shouting. Leave while you can. I can't, Mrs. Gloria. Naomi entered. But today was different. Harrison didn't appear. No absurd orders. No humiliation. Mrs. Gloria just told her to do routine cleaning. Naomi worked in silence, nervous, waiting for the axe to fall. Christina appeared in the kitchen. She's still here. Impressive. But she won't last. None of them do. Christina, leave the girl alone, Mrs. Gloria scolded. I'm not doing anything. Just observing. She smiled and left. 10 a.m. A luxury car stopped in front of the mansion. An elegant woman in her early 60s stepped out. Black hair with some white strands. The posture of someone who always had money but never lost class. Dark sunglasses. Expensive purse. Mrs. Eleanor arrived, Robert the driver announced. Naomi was cleaning the entrance hall when the woman entered. She looked at Naomi and smiled slightly. A sad smile. You're new here. Yes, ma'am. Naomi Carter. How long have you been working for my son? 3 days, ma'am. Mrs. Eleanor let out a humorless laugh. 3 days. My God. You must be strong. Harrison appeared from the library. Seeing his mother, his expression hardened. Mother. Didn't know you were coming today. Because if you knew, you'd invent some excuse. She removed her sunglasses. We need to talk. I don't have time. Harrison Blackwell. I'm your mother and you will give me time. Her voice was firm. Loving but firm. He clenched his jaw. Library. 5 minutes. They went in. Naomi continued cleaning, but even without wanting to, she heard the heated conversation. You can't continue like this, son. Like what, mother? In a chair? I don't have a choice. Like this. Bitter. Cruel. You're destroying yourself. I'm already destroyed. Ever since the accident. Ever since Camila. Camila was a gold digger. She never loved you. And thank God she left before the wedding. She loved me when I could walk. No, Harrison. She loved your money. She loved the idea of being the billionaire's wife. But she never loved you. The real you. And now you're using this as an excuse to be horrible to everyone. Heavy silence. Naomi stopped cleaning. How many housekeepers have you fired this year? Mrs. Eleanor continued. 20? 30? You treat them like trash. You humiliate them. You yell. This isn't my son. The Harrison I raised wasn't like this. That Harrison died in the accident. Lie. He's there. Hiding. Scared. But he's alive. Her voice broke. And I need him back. Because this version of you, this version is killing me, son. Naomi felt a tightness in her chest. She knew that pain. The pain of a mother watching her son get lost. The library door opened. Mrs. Eleanor came out with teary eyes. Saw Naomi there. Stopped. You. Naomi. Come here. Naomi approached nervously. Yes, ma'am. How many times has my son humiliated you in these 3 days? Naomi hesitated. Looked at Harrison, who was at the library door, watching. Answer honestly. He won't fire you. I guarantee it, Mrs. Eleanor said. Many times, ma'am. And why didn't you leave? Because I need the job. My mother is sick. I need to help with bills. Mrs. Eleanor looked at her son. See? She has the same problems as everyone. But she has dignity. She endures because she's strong. Stronger than you're being right now. Harrison looked away. Mrs. Eleanor turned to Naomi. Do you dance? The question caught Naomi by surprise. I used to dance, ma'am. At church. At school. But nothing professional. Show me. Mother, what are you? Harrison started. Quiet. Show me, Naomi. Dance something. Now. Naomi turned red. But ma'am, I'm working. I'm not. Please. Mrs. Eleanor insisted. Naomi took a deep breath. Looked around. There was no music. But she didn't need it. She closed her eyes and started to move. Nothing elaborate. Just natural movements. Her body remembering times when she had time to dance. To dream. It was simple. But it was genuine. It came from the soul. Harrison stood paralyzed, watching. There was something in that dance. Something pure. Something he hadn't seen in a long time. Freedom. Naomi stopped, embarrassed. Sorry. I'm not good at this. You're beautiful dancing, Mrs. Eleanor said with tears in her eyes. Absolutely beautiful. Harrison remained silent. But something had stirred inside him. Mother, this doesn't make sense. What do you want? He said harshly. I want my son back. And to do that, I'm going to do something I should have done long ago. She picked up her phone. I'm organizing the annual charity event here at the mansion. 2 weeks from now. No. No events. No people here. It's not optional, Harrison. It's an obligation. You're the president of the Family Foundation. The event happens every year. You canceled the last 2 years. But this year it will happen. Whether you like it or not. Mother. And more. She looked at Naomi. Naomi will dance at the event. Naomi's eyes widened. What? No, ma'am. I can't. Of course you can. You have natural talent. And it will be beautiful. Mother, you've gone crazy. A housekeeper dancing at a charity event. Harrison laughed without humor. A person dancing. A woman with talent. And you'll accept it. Because if you fire her before the event, I'll cut your trust fund. I'm an adult. I'm the president of the company where I still own 40%. And I can very well call the board and propose your removal for inappropriate behavior. Want to test me? Harrison turned red with anger. But he knew. His mother wasn't bluffing. Fine. Mrs. Eleanor smiled. It's decided. 2 weeks. Naomi, you'll need a dress. I'll provide it. And you, Harrison, will treat this girl with respect. Because if I find out you humiliated her one more time, you'll have problems with me. Understood. She kissed her son's cheek. I love you. But I need to give you this push. You'll thank me someday. Mrs. Eleanor left. Harrison looked at Naomi with anger. This is your fault. Sir, I didn't ask for any of this. You're going to dance at this ridiculous event. You're going to make a fool of yourself. And when it's a disaster, I'm going to laugh. Understood. Naomi felt anger rising. Why are you like this? Why do you hate seeing someone try? Because trying doesn't help, he exploded. I tried to walk again. Tried physical therapy. Tried everything. And it didn't work. Trying is a lie. Or maybe you gave up too early, Naomi said quietly. Harrison was speechless. Get out of my sight, he said and left. Naomi stood there trembling. In 2 weeks, she would have to dance in front of rich, important people. Mrs. Gloria appeared. "Girl, you really stepped in it now." "I know. But you know what? I'm rooting for you. Someone needs to shake this boy up." Naomi smiled weakly. "Courage or insanity? I still haven't decided which." The following days were silent hell. Harrison didn't yell anymore. Didn't openly humiliate. But the contempt was in every look. In every dry word. In every mocking smile when he saw Naomi passing by. He knew she was terrified. And that satisfied him. Naomi worked during the day. And at night, after everyone slept, she would sneak into the ballroom, turn on the music softly, and try to dance. She tried to remember the movements from church. From school parties. But this was different. This wasn't a school presentation. This was an event with rich people. Important people. People who would judge her. She fell. Stumbled. Forgot the steps. And started over. Always started over. In the first week, Mrs. Eleanor returned with a bag. "Want to see?" Naomi opened the bag with trembling hands. It was beautiful. Deep red. Light fabric that flowed like water. Thin straps. Elegant but not exaggerated. "Ma'am, this must have cost a fortune." "It's a gift. Because your mother can't be here to give it." Mrs. Eleanor smiled. "How is she?" "A bit better, ma'am. The medicine is helping." "I'm glad. You're a good daughter, Naomi." Naomi hugged the bag against her chest. But hope was short-lived. Harrison passed through the corridor and saw the bag. "Let me guess. The clown costume arrived." "Harrison," Mrs. Eleanor scolded. "What?" "I'm being realistic. She's going to get up there, dance badly, embarrass herself, and everyone will pretend they liked it out of pity. That's how these events work." Naomi felt her face burn. "You're right, sir. I'll probably dance badly. Because I never had money for lessons. Never had opportunity. But I'm going to try. Because that's what people like me do. We try. Even when people like you say it's impossible." She went upstairs without waiting for an answer. Mrs. Eleanor looked at her son. "Are you proud of this? Destroying a girl's self-esteem." "I'm being honest." "No, son. You're being cruel. And you know why? Because she reminds you of what you lost. Courage. Hope. Will to try." She shook her head and left. Harrison stayed alone in the corridor. He hated when she was right. The days passed. The event was approaching. The mansion was being prepared. Decorators coming and going. Flowers. Lights. Tables. Everything coming back to life. Christina was loving it. Finally the mansion had movement again. And she, as the oldest employee after Mrs. Gloria, was supervising the sound and light technicians. "You'll do the equipment check before the event?" Robert asked. "Of course. Everything will be perfect." Christina smiled. But inside she already knew what she was going to do. And Harrison hated every second of it. One night he couldn't sleep. It was 2 a.m. He decided to go to the library. But passing by the ballroom, he saw a light on. Soft music. He stopped. Watched through the half-open door. Naomi was there. Barefoot. Simple dress. Dancing alone in the empty ballroom. She tried a spin. Missed. Tried again. Fell. Got up. Started over. Harrison stood there watching. There was something in that. In her stubbornness. In the way she didn't give up. Even making mistakes. Even alone. Even without an audience. She danced because she wanted to. Not because she had to prove something. When was the last time he did something like that? Something out of pure desire? He couldn't remember. Naomi did a beautiful movement. Fluid. And smiled, proud of herself. And in that moment, Harrison felt something strange. Something he hadn't felt in a long time. Envy. He envied that freedom. That ability to be happy with small victories. That life she still had inside her. He went back to his room without making noise. But couldn't sleep. The next day, Mrs. Gloria was preparing lunch when Harrison entered the kitchen. "Does she train every night?" he asked. Mrs. Gloria was startled. "Who, sir?" "Naomi. Does she train at dawn?" The housekeeper hesitated. "She does, sir. The girl barely sleeps. Works all day and trains at night. She's killing herself." "Why?" "Because she doesn't want to disappoint your mother. And because she doesn't want you to be right about her." Harrison fell silent. Left the kitchen. 3 days until the event. The tension in the mansion was unbearable. Naomi was exhausted. Deep circles under her eyes. Hands shaking from tiredness. But she continued. Harrison watched her from afar. And the more he watched, the more something inside him stirred. Guilt. He was being cruel to someone who was just trying to survive. Someone who had done nothing but work. Resist. Hope. 2 nights before the event, Naomi was in the ballroom training when she tripped and fell. Hit her knee hard on the floor. She held back the scream. Got up. Tried to dance again. But her leg couldn't take it. She fell again. And finally broke down. She sat on the floor and cried. Cried from exhaustion. From pain. From fear. "I'm not going to make it," she whispered to the empty ballroom. "I'm not good enough. Not with that injured knee." Harrison's voice came from the door. Naomi was startled. Quickly wiped her tears. "Sir, I didn't know you." "Be quiet." He entered the ballroom. Brought the chair closer. "Let me see." "You don't need to, sir. I said let me see." He picked up an ice pack he had brought. "I lived 2 years with doctors and physical therapists. I know an injury when I see one." He placed the ice on her knee carefully. Naomi tensed. It was the first time he touched her. And he was gentle. "Why do you do this?" Harrison asked quietly. "Why torture yourself so much?" "Because I need to." "Need to prove what? To whom?" Naomi looked at him. "To myself. That I can be more than a housekeeper. More than someone invisible. Even if it's just one night. One dance. I want to prove that I exist." Harrison felt the words hit him in the chest. He knew that feeling. Of wanting to prove. Of wanting to exist. He had just forgotten. "You're training wrong," he said suddenly. "What?" "Your movements. You force too much. Dance isn't force. It's fluidity. Look." He moved his arms from the chair, demonstrating. "You do it like this. Stiff. Tense. Has to be like this. Loose. Natural." Naomi watched. "How do you know this?" "I used to dance. Before the accident. Not professionally. But I danced well. At all the parties. With Camila. It was one of the things I loved most." He looked away. "Another thing the chair took from me." They sat in silence. "Can you help me?" Naomi said suddenly. "At least to choose the music." "I don't know what to choose." Harrison was going to refuse. But something in him gave in. "Tomorrow night. Come here. I'll help you with the music." Naomi smiled. A small smile. But genuine. "Thank you, sir." "Don't thank me yet. If it's a disaster, it's your fault." He said it. But without the cruelty from before. He left the ballroom. And for the first time in 2 years, Harrison Blackwell wanted to wake up the next day. Because he had something to do. Someone to help. And that made him feel a little less dead inside. The day arrived. The mansion was unrecognizable. Golden lights everywhere. White and red flowers in every corner. Elegant tables in the garden. Uniformed waiters circulating. Luxury cars arriving one after another. Naomi watched everything from the staff room window. The dress hanging behind her. Heart beating so hard it hurt. In a few hours, she would dance in front of all those people. "You okay, girl?" Mrs. Gloria appeared. "Just nervous." "You're going to kill it. I know it." The housekeeper smiled and left. Downstairs, Harrison was in the office. Impeccable suit. Black. Gray tie. Hair combed. He looked out the window, watching the guests arrive. His mother had invited over 200 people. Businessmen. Politicians. High society. He hated every second of it. Son, are you ready? Mrs. Eleanor entered, radiant. No. Perfect. Because nobody's ever ready for these things. But we do them anyway. She adjusted his tie. You look handsome. Still the most handsome man at the party. Chair or not. 8 p.m. The party was in full swing. Harrison was in the center of the main ballroom. People approached. Greeted him. Said how good he looked. Polite lies. 9 o'clock. Mrs. Eleanor stepped onto the small stage. Picked up the microphone. Good evening, everyone. What a joy to have you here. As you all know, this is the 20th edition of our annual charity event. This year we're raising funds for St. Clair Children's Hospital. Polite applause. But before we start the auction, we have a special surprise. A beautiful presentation. A dance. Please welcome Naomi Carter. Harrison froze. This was it. The moment of truth. Seconds passed. The music didn't start. Murmurs began in the audience. Christina was backstage with a discreet smile. Mission accomplished. Harrison frowned. Something was wrong. And then Naomi entered the stage. Without music. Just her. The entire ballroom fell silent. She was stunning. The red dress flowed with every movement. Hair loose in natural curls. Bare feet on the wooden floor. Naomi walked to the center. Looked at the audience. And smiled. Then she did something nobody expected. She started clapping. Slowly. Rhythmically. Clap. 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 The audience was confused. But some people started to follow. More people clapped. The rhythm grew. Filled the ballroom. And Naomi started to dance. Without music. Just with the rhythm of the clapping. Of her footsteps. Of her body in movement. It was raw. Primitive. Absolutely beautiful. She turned sabotage into art. Harrison watched with his mouth open. After 10 seconds, the music finally started. Robert, feeling guilty, had manually connected it. And Naomi continued. Now with music. But keeping the energy. The courage. The strength. The entire ballroom held its breath. It wasn't technical. It wasn't perfect. But it was real. Every movement came from within. Every spin had emotion. Her arms told a story of struggle. Her feet touched the floor with reverence. The audience was hypnotized. 200 people watching a humble housekeeper transform into art before them. And Harrison couldn't take his eyes off her. Something inside him was breaking. Tears began to fall down his face. Because in that moment, he was seeing everything he had lost. Everything he had given up. She spun. Jumped softly. Opened her arms to the sky. And smiled. The music began to fade. And Naomi did something nobody expected. She stopped in the center of the stage. Looked directly at Harrison. For 3 seconds, the world was just the two of them. And then she came down from the stage. Walked to Harrison. The audience paralyzed. She stopped in front of his wheelchair. And extended her hand. Dance with me, she whispered. Harrison froze. I can't. You can. Your way. With me. She kept her hand extended. Firm. Without fear. He looked at that hand. Then at her face. And something inside him gave in. He took her hand. The entire ballroom held its breath. Naomi pulled gently. She began to move around the chair. Slowly. Delicately. She wasn't dancing alone. She was dancing with him. Harrison raised his free arm. Followed her movement. It was strange. It was new. But it was beautiful. The audience watched in absolute silence. Some with tears in their eyes. Naomi spun. Held both his hands. Looked in his eyes. And smiled. A smile that said, "You're not alone. You're not broken." Harrison felt something explode in his chest. All the walls he had built collapsed. and the tears came without control. He cried there in front of 200 people. And he didn't care. Because for the first time in 2 years, he was feeling gratitude. The music reached its end. She bowed her head toward him. A reverence. The music stopped. Silence. And then the audience exploded. Thunderous applause. People standing. Crying. Bravo. Mrs. Eleanor was sobbing. Her son had returned. Naomi still held Harrison's hands. He looked at her truly, seeing an incredible woman who had saved him without knowing. "Thank you," he whispered. "You're welcome, Harrison." He smiled. A true smile. The first in 2 years. The next day, Naomi woke up early, put on her uniform, went down to work. But when she arrived in the kitchen, Harrison was there, waiting. "Good morning," he said. "Good morning, Harrison." "Sit, please." He took a deep breath. "I need to apologize. For everything. For every humiliation. For being a monster to you. You didn't deserve any of that." He looked in her eyes. "You saved me yesterday. I was dead inside. And you brought me back." He picked up an envelope. "I want to pay for your studies. Professional dance. The best school in New York. And I'm creating a program for young people with talent who don't have opportunities. You'll be the first." Naomi's eyes widened. "Why?" "Because you reminded me that I can be better. And I want to be. I need to go back to physical therapy. I need to try again." Naomi smiled between tears. "You can do it. I know you can." 6 months later, Naomi was on stage at the New York Dance Academy. Her first professional performance. In the front row sat Harrison. Still in his wheelchair, but with 2 canes beside him. He could stand now. For about a minute. Could take a few steps with support. Next to him sat Mrs. Eleanor. And Naomi's mother, Mrs. Diane, healthy, smiling. The lights dimmed. The music began. Naomi danced like never before. Every movement was gratitude. Every spin was overcoming. When she finished, the theater exploded in applause. Harrison stood from his wheelchair, supported by the canes. Trembling, but standing. Applauding. Tears streaming. Alive. Naomi looked at him. Smiled. Outside the theater, months later, a new sign shone. Carter Blackwell Arts Foundation. Dance School for Underprivileged Youth. Harrison sat in his chair. He could walk a bit now. 10 steps on good days. He needed the chair for daily life. But the steps were his. Conquered. And that was enough. Naomi stood beside him. "We did it," she said. "No, Naomi. You did it." He smiled. "I learned that giving up is never an option. That life continues even when it seems impossible." She took his hand. They looked at the institute. Children entering, dancing, dreaming. And Harrison was no longer the bitter billionaire. He was someone new. Someone better. Someone who learned that courage isn't never falling. It's getting up every time you fall. Life had taken from him the ability to walk freely. But Naomi had returned something far more important. The ability to live.